When I was growing up, we didn't even get a chance to be disrespectful. Our parents would fill in the blanks before we could even finish the sentence. Mama would say something like, go wash them dishes. And the minute you opened your mouth and said, but, she yelled out, but what? Oh, so you talking back now. You getting jazzy with me now. And God forbid you try to explain yourself and say something like, no, mama, I wasn't talking back. She said, oh, so now I'm lying. You calling me a liar now. At that point, you just shut the hell up. Because somehow you had gone from not wanting to wash the dishes to being disrespectful and calling your mama a liar. And you hadn't even finished one complete sentence yet. Gen X, y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not saying that was necessarily the healthiest way to communicate with children either, because some of us grew up scared to express ourselves. Some of us became adults who over-explain everything because we weren't allowed to explain anything as children. So there were definitely problems with the way some of us were raised. But here's the question that I've been thinking a lot about. Did we correct one problem and accidentally create another one? Because children absolutely deserve protection. They deserve to be heard. They deserve to feel safe in their own homes. And there were things happening to children back in our day that adults ignored, excused, or called discipline that should never have happened. So I'm not asking to go back to that. But somewhere between children having absolutely no voice and children having a voice, I think we started confusing having a voice with having equal authority. Those are not the same thing. When we were growing up, there was an authority structure almost everywhere we went. At home, there were parents and grandparents. At school, there were teachers, principals, and administrators. And listen, some schools literally had wooden paddles. Now, I'm not saying bring the paddle back, so don't y'all start typing ferociously yet. That's not my point. My point is that the relationships between children and authority was completely different back then. Most of us knew there were certain lines that you just did not cross with an adult. Now we're raising children in a completely different environment. We've learned more about child development. We learned more about trauma. Schools have changed. Laws and policies have changed. Parents are more aware of what can be considered inappropriate discipline. Children are taught more about boundaries, consent, reporting things that make them uncomfortable, and speaking up when they believe something is wrong. A lot of that change was necessary. Children do need protection. But here's the part that I don't think we talk about enough. Protection without accountability can become entitlement. Giving a child a voice does not mean giving that child control of the household. Teaching children boundaries doesn't mean they don't have to respect anybody else's boundaries. And protecting children from abusive authority doesn't mean removing healthy authority altogether. That's where I think we've gotten ourselves into trouble. And I've watched this change from both sides, as a parent and from working with children and families for decades. There is a difference between a child being afraid of an adult and a child understanding that an adult is in charge. I don't want children terrified of their parents. I don't want children afraid to tell somebody when they're being hurt. I don't want parents believing that giving birth to somebody gives them permission to mistreat them. Absolutely not. But I also don't believe a child should be running a household because every correction, consequence, or boundary is treated like somebody is doing something wrong to them. Children need adults. Not just adults who love them, adults who lead them. Adults who can say no. Adults who can establish rules. Adults who can give consequences. Adults who can tell a child, you're entitled to your feelings, but you're not entitled to disrespect everybody because you're upset. And that's something I think we've lost in all of these conversations about parenting. We spend so much time talking about what parents shouldn't do, and some of those conversations desperately needed to happen, that sometimes we forget to talk about what children are still required to learn. Respect, accountability, self-control, consequences, how to accept no, how to deal with disappointment, how to function when somebody in authority tells them to do something that you don't necessarily want to do. Because eventually that child is going into a world that isn't going to revolve around their feelings. They're going to have teachers, professors, supervisors, co-workers, relationships. They're going to hear no. They're going to be corrected. They're going to encounter boundaries that they don't like. And our job isn't just to protect children from the world. Our job is to prepare them for it. And before somebody twists what I'm saying, let me say it one more time. I'm not advocating for abusing children. I'm not saying we need to go back to beating kids. I'm not saying everything our parents did was right. Hell, some of it was wrong. I'm saying there has to be something between the way we grew up, where sometimes children couldn't say anything, and a world where some children believe nobody can tell them anything. There has to be a middle ground. Children deserve a voice. Parents still need authority. Children deserve protection. Parents still need the ability to parent. Children deserve respect. And children still need to learn how to give respect. Both things can be true at the same damn time. I'm curious, how many Gen Xers have witnessed this, the big change? Do you think parenting changed for the better? I want to hear from my Gen Xers.